So we have Sangameswaran Manikkyam Iyer. He's a global cybersecurity leader. We are keen to listen about how secure we can be. So welcome, sir.
Welcome to you all.
Thank you. May I ask the most common, every app will ask to have a most secure password to use. So, apart from having a high security password, is there anything else that we should be worrying about so that there is no hacking possible in our devices?
So the basic thing for any kind of smartphone security is that whenever you are installing any specific apps, give the least access permissions for that specific app. So specific apps may not need camera access or access to your contacts, your phone book and stuff like that. So, or locations and stuff like that. So you need to be really cautious when you're providing those permissions for any app. Now, specific apps, let's say for specific purposes like ordering food, that may need location access because it is trying to find out nearby restaurants from where you could order food and stuff like that. But after you grant permission, you order and then you can switch it off so that it will not keep on looking at your location. So you give permissions, but turn off the permissions, which is something which most people actually forget to do or practice it in real life because once a permission is given, it is always given kind of stuff. So don't do that. From a password perspective, password is only the first line of defense. So always try to enable the multi-factor, two-factor feature security for logging in. You can use authenticator applications like Microsoft Authenticator, Okta, Ping ID. So there are different applications which can be used for the second factor or the good old giving your phone number, giving your mobile number so that you will get a one-time passcode. So an OTP will be sent to you as a second level of authentication. And then once you enter that, you can actually log in. So passwords are first line of defense, but you should always have secondary or alternative kinds of defenses to have. There's multiple authentication options which can be enabled for most of the applications nowadays. So which is something which you should do. And the basic thing of password hygiene is don't use the same password on multiple applications because if the password is compromised in one, uh, anyone who has access to that specific password will try to access any other application with the same username and same kind of password or even different username and password. The basic premise is most of the times your phone number, your email address is already out in public because of multiple different reasons, because data brokers would be selling the information to interested parties. So you go for shopping, you go online shopping, and you don't realize that you actually signed up for newsletters or signed up for getting coupons and discount codes and stuff like that. So that means that email address is saved in some database, which might get shared with the third parties. And from third parties, it might go to data brokers, and data brokers collect this and then sell it to interested parties. So the basic premise is your basic information like your name, your phone number, your email address is already out there in different different databases. So just keep that in mind.
It's difficult to remember a password. So keeping the same password for many those are things that many people might be doing same mistake, and we were not aware of the consequences of if anything is compromised. So that is one thing. How safe is it using a mobile payment application?
Mobile payment applications, so most of them are secure because they have to go through a security certification process before they get authorized for doing significant or money transactions, money-based online transactions, online payment and stuff like that. So I'm not taking any commercial names, but you get it. Like there are specific kind of payment methods which are applicable and which are permitted within India. I'm just using India as an example. So even though I'm based outside India, but you can use any of these UPI-based applications which are safe and secure to do that. But keep one thing in mind, don't fall uh, for any kind of scams which are currently happening. Like somebody saying that, hey, I transferred Google Pay like 3,000 rupees to you by mistake. Can you refund it? So that is one of those examples. Then, if you are a retail merchant or if you are a shopkeeper, sometimes what happens is like they say that they show a screenshot which is uh, a fake payment saying that, hey, we have made the payment, look at the QR code. Because if you see the number of payments, transactions which might happen at that specific shop, if it is moderate to high, then they may not be able to do that within that crowded space, right? So what they do is they say, okay, we heard a noise saying that the money has been credited, which might be done by some other person. So these scams can happen as a consumer as well as for a shopkeeper or a retail store establishment owner. So we can definitely do that. So before you make any online payment transaction, always make sure that it's a secure way. And the second thing is the recipient the right recipient with whom you want to initiate an online money transfer, money transaction for that purpose. Then the third thing is once you do that, always take a confirmation from the other party that they have received it. So just keep all these things in mind when you are doing online payment transaction, cashless transactions, and stuff like that. And these are some of the basic principles which has been there for quite some time. So just practice this and always use common sense, which is not so common, just to make sure that what you are doing is the right approach.
There is this notion as an I don't know whether in a legal term they are using this. It's kind of it's your device, even if it is a mobile device or a laptop. It's your device, so the responsibility lies with you. So if anything is compromised, somebody is using hacking or something. It's like the individual is responsible for that. So how do you evaluate this situation?
The basic thing is the device, the smartphone or the computing device is owned by each individual. So they are responsible for the upkeep of that because, as I mentioned when we started the discussion, giving the right set of permissions is the starting step. So if you give the phone-wide access to all the apps which you install on that phone, then you cannot find or you cannot blame that specific app for doing specific transactions, uh, not transactions, for compromising some of those things. Let's say, as an example, you download a specific app and then that requires access to your entire phone. And without thinking, you gave access to your entire phone. And that phone had some of your sensitive pictures or documents and stuff like that. And that is being taken by a specific entity. Uh, there may not be any legal option for that because you signed up. When you signed up, you granted permissions and blame it on the end user license agreement or the app's terms and conditions, which is definitely quite long, like in the small screen, like in the standard size of an iPhone or an Android. The standard screen size ranges from 5.8 inches to 6.3, 6.5 inches. So nobody has that kind of patience to go through 6 pages of terms and conditions when they actually sign up for any specific app. So maybe on, let's say, 6 pages of documentation, and then on the fifth page, 17th line is this statement saying that you grant the application permission for doing all transactions on your behalf, then there is no legal terms which is going to help with that kind of a case. So always practice caution, take a cautionary approach when you're actually trying to do any kind of specific app installations or while using those specific apps. You have to be really careful with that.
Any activity happening digitally online, it's documented. It has a record somewhere. So at any point of time, this can be cleared. This can be, in the sense, investigated and brought into the light, as in if there is anything happening out of our control. So is this true, or is it like something happens and in the course of time, say like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10 years, or something, those records might get overwritten or something, and we there is no trace left. So how should we take it?
Whatever you do online, there is a track or there is a log of whatever you are doing. So that is for sure. Now, it depends on various platforms, how far into the past they keep track of all these logs and then store it, whether they are getting overwritten or they are going to purge it and then they are going to delete, they are going to format and those kind of things on those specific logs. It depends on each vendor, each platform, each specific app owner and stuff like that. So those things, once it passes that specific time period, they may not have logs and stuff like that. But as per legal requirement, certain countries have specific legal requirements, specific regulations have legal requirements for storage of records for selected or specified duration of time. So then that can definitely can be investigated, can be gone through with all those logs and other things, and then can be done. So keep one thing in mind, whatever you do online, there is a tracking mechanism definitely which is being used by law enforcement agencies or investigation agencies worldwide, has been using for so many years now. So they can definitely do it. So they can definitely keep track of all those things happening. Forensic science has significantly improved. And the technology also supports of getting those data or the details back. Even if your phone is factory reset, there are ways and means in which you can definitely recover those data and then can be used. So one more thing to keep in mind is it also depends on which country you are living to see what kind of legal framework or the law is also supporting for going after a specific kind of law regarding to a specific kind of incident or event which happened in the past, and then to find that out. So all these things are like actually a complex mechanism. So it's like not like each country will have their own legal system and cyber laws to handle and address these kind of situations. It is also important, like specific countries, when you do something posting against that specific region online could be a criminal offense. So specific countries, it may not be. So certain countries, when you actually try to create uh, a problem for somebody else's online reputation, that can be a criminal offense. So it is different from country to country and where you are actually residing. So all these things have to be kept in mind when you are doing anything online nowadays. So you have to keep all those things in mind.
This might be a bit questioning the judicial or systems happening, especially in India. When the officials are also not capable enough to, I mean, in many places they are, especially the cybersecurity in Kerala, they are efficient enough. That's what we presume. But in many other states, it's not. Even in the Silicon Valley capital of India, the Bangalore, many of the even the police stations do not have that facility of and when it goes to the judicial also, they don't understand many of these things. So I don't know whether they even think about leaving it to the forensics for any further investigation. So many times this happens that because of the ignorance of any individual, things are imposed on them. So are there anything, and I know there won't be any blanket law for that, but then are there any protection for any individuals or even small organizations to secure their individuality? Like, it's kind of an identity crisis also in such situations. So are there any laws pertaining to that, or is there anything that individuals can do, small scale companies can do about these kind of situations?
There are two parts to it. One is what an individual can do uh, in trying to minimize these kind of cyber scams or cyber threats or any kind of cyber attacks, how they can minimize falling victim to some of these cyber scams. The basic reason is that is the basic of any policing across the world. Let us say that a specific state, I'm just using as an example and some numbers, okay? So let's say a state has around 10,000 people. Okay. So this 10,000 people will never have 10,000 law enforcement officials to address their concerns. That is not how policing works. So maybe there is a ratio in which it gets assigned. So for each state, it might be different. For 10,000, there might not be even 1,000 law enforcement officers. So let's say they have only 100, and this 100 to address. So 100 to address 10,000 people. So you do the math, and then you know that for how many people there will be a law enforcement officer, as an example. Okay. Now, in real life, this 10,000 might be multiplied by multiple times, and then you get the kind of population, and then you get the kind of law enforcement officers which are currently there. For an example, like a state like Kerala, there are like 60 to 70,000 people employed within the law enforcement organization. So just keep that in mind and look at Kerala's population as an example. Then you will definitely know. Now, if each individual person cannot handle the first level of defense, then imagine each person coming up or going to the law enforcement office or the police station and then trying to register a complaint for each and everything which is happening on the cyber world. The law enforcement organization cannot handle that kind of load. So that is a different problem. So we have to keep different things in mind. And I don't have the metrics with respect to Kerala as specific on how many cyber cases are getting reported, how many of them is getting registered. So reported, registered, and how many of them have an FIR, and then there is an investigation happening, and what is the resolution, and how many of the cyber offenses are getting uh, a legal approach where they get punished as per the legal framework. So this is from the consumer perspective or any citizen's perspective. The second half of that is the legal framework. Now, in India, the cyber laws is based on the IT Act of 2002, which went through multiple amendments, 2006, 2007, 8, and then 2012, 2014. Now, the Data Privacy DP, I think Data Privacy Protection Act is also coming up. So currently, I think it's in the draft phase. It's not yet fully approved. So it's in the draft phase. So there are a lot of conditions which are mentioned as part of that, which is going to help. But the basic premise is the cyber laws were not uh, strong enough to go after a specific set of online cyber offenses and then take action on that. So there are two parts to it. Like if cyber law is not supporting with that, you need to do as the IPC or the BNS based approach on specific sections, and then use that. And then that is how it used to happen in the past. Now that has to definitely change because currently you do a quick search for any state or country as whole, and then see how many cyber cases are leading into punishment and how many of them are getting punishment, what kind of punishment is given. So that should give an approximate metric on what exactly is happening. Because currently on the NCRB, you definitely get details about different kind of offenses. Like when I say offenses, these are IPC, BNS based offenses, not specific cyber, but you will definitely get the metric on what is the current data set which is currently available, which will give you an insight about what exactly is happening. So there are two parts. The basic thing is step one is definitely prevention. But if an individual cannot do all these things like applying common sense and taking the basic steps of not being falling into a victim for a cyber crime, then it gets into the second half where the law and the investigation agencies will take their own time for doing all those things. So you have to keep all those things in mind. And there also there might be a difference between a common person's cyber complaint, whereas a celebrity's cyber complaint. So both gets addressed in different approach that we are seeing as part of our day-to-day lives, right? We are seeing in media coverage also this kind of things happening. So we have to keep all these things in mind when we actually do go after this kind of cyber scams or cyber frauds which are happening, and don't fall victim to that, and apply common sense. Think twice, thrice, multiple times before you see. The basic premise is if a deal is too good to be true, it is not true.
We will, if we leave the common man situation, say like on any small scale companies who cannot afford to have a cyber security team, so what step should they take as in to have a cyber things in control? Or if at all there is something that is slipping out of their control, what is the immediate thing? Say like, are they supposed to reach out to the police or legal support?
For organizations like we are not discussing about large scale organizations. We are looking at small and medium enterprises, like small organizations and stuff like that. So security is always an afterthought for small and medium enterprises. They would not think, then they think that it is not an enabler for their business. So they don't spend much on the security side. So the basic recommendation is try to do a security audit and find out your current security posture, like whether what kind of controls you have. Is this controls going to be enough? So the basic security audit is going to highlight all these different options available to you and your current state. We call it as baselining. So once you know where you stand, then you can try to augment or strengthen the kind of security controls which is going to help you in handling any kind of cyber emergencies. Now, some organizations don't have enough uh, money to hire people as part of their thing, so they can outsource the security to security consulting organizations where they might have remote monitoring, and they can do audits and all those things for them and take action on that incident response. Let's say a small retail organization, they outsource that and they see that someone tried to uh, compromise their network and try to take some customer data and all those things. So that is a incident. So incident response team would definitely come in. So either in-house, if you don't have money and don't have the team in-house, you can outsource that. But don't think that as an extra expenditure, because that is going to help you from lot of legal hassles, lot of investigation hassles, because this incident response team is going to come into that specific incident. They would acknowledge that there is an incident which is happening or which has happened. They will take an approach to make sure that it is contained. So incident acknowledgement, then containment of that incident, and then try to take remediation action. That remediation action also includes contacting the appropriate law enforcement office to create a complaint, then engaging the right set of legal teams for getting the legal support to make sure that there is a strong case which has been created and presented in a court of law.